Hi guys, this is Tazarotene here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm the skin scientist, and today I'm going to be talking about retinols and why you need to be so careful when using retinol. It's a hot topic. There are so many retinol products out there. So many people that I talk to, they've at some point or another used retinol or retinoids, different kinds of retinol. There are different kinds of molecules that are like retinol. A lot of people that I've met have kind of used retinoids in some form of or another. So today I'm going to be telling you why retinol or retinoids are not good for you, especially if you have a certain skin type, and you need to see this video for that. And you probably didn't know that you have that type of skin. If you actually go online and you write retinol, or you go on YouTube and you type retinoids, you're going to find so many different videos about different kinds of retinoids and that you should use it for whatever reason. In fact, I'm actually surprised these days people say you need to start using retinoids early in age so that you can prevent premature aging as you progress in age. I find that ludicrous. There is some strong scientific reasoning for doing that, but young skin is just so sensitive and there's so much life ahead of young skin that to use retinoids in order to affect or change your skin is something that is just too aggressive. Okay. So now I'm going to jump to the point. Why are retinoids not recommended, at least by me? Being a skin scientist, in case you didn't know about me, I'm a dermabiologist. I've specialized in skin regeneration, hair biology. I've started multiple performance beauty brands. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an inventor. I've published papers and research articles. I've also advised clinics, and right now I am the founder of a brand called Melblock, which is a dermocosmetic brand sold by the top dermatologists in the country. So I can tell you that I'm coming from a place where I know a lot about the science because I had product development. I've helped build other brands as well, brands of third parties, startups who wanted to build performance, unique products that actually work. So I know a little bit more about the industry. I know the molecular science of how things work. And based on that, I can tell you that retinol or retinoids, I'm actually going to stop using the word retinol because retinol is a type of retinoid. There are so many others. But retinoids are very harsh for the skin. Okay? They cause inflammation. They cause redness. They cause thinning of the skin. They make your skin more susceptible to UV damage. And because they're hormone-like, they're actually hormone-like ingredients. So when you're applying retinoids on your skin, you're actually applying almost a hormone on your skin, which alters the very genes in your cells and makes your skin behave differently. It's called remodeling. It's able to remodel your skin into a completely different type or different form. Now, dermatologists have long been using retinoids to actually do precisely that, which is to remodel the skin in the way that they want it. But dermatologists use retinoids under supervision in controlled manners. Even when you go to a dermatologist and you actually start using retinoids, you're going to see reactions. You're going to see redness, inflammation, peeling. Your skin literally peels off. These are severe forms of damage. It's actually a cellular toxin in high quantities, which is not naturally synthesized by your body or not naturally taken in by your body. So when you apply it on top, it behaves as a cellular toxin. And so you're intentionally applying toxins. But, if you go to a professional like a dermatologist, they're going to use retinoids to achieve your certain skin goals that you have, especially when it comes to anti-aging or relief from acne. And I'm going to explain to you why it's used like that. Now, what retinoids do, there are different kinds of retinoids. There's retinal palmitate, retinal stearate, there is retinol, retinal, tretinoin, and then there is Adapalene, Tazarotene, and then there are so many new molecules that have come out, including gram-active retinoid, which I'm going to talk to you about. The molecule is called hydroxypinaclone retinoid, HPR. This is gram-active retinoid. And I'm going to talk about all of these. But to first understand what are retinols. Retinoids are basically different forms of vitamin A. And the reason why it's become so popular is not necessarily because it's just this amazing ingredient. It's also because it's associated with vitamin A. You know how in the past, our mothers would use these small gelatin capsules that they'd break apart and squeeze and oil out? It was vitamin E. Because they're vitamins, they have this very juicy, attractive name, right? You feel that vitamins are so essential. You take multivitamins every day. So all sorts of vitamins are going to be very good for your skin, which is why you're ending up using vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin F, vitamin K, vitamin B, which is niacinamide, panthenol, and vitamin C is not good for your skin. I don't know if you already know that or knew that or not, but check my other video about vitamin C right here, and you'll actually see why you really need to avoid vitamin C. But coming back, because these are vitamins, you feel attracted towards them and you want to use them. But vitamin A is special, it's different. It's almost like a hormone. You can't have vitamin A if you're pregnant because it has hormone-like effects. In high concentrations, it can be damaging to the fetus, and so you don't use it. The way retinoids work is that there are these receptors in our skin called the RAR or the RXR. RAR stands for retinoid-like receptor, and RAR is a retinoid X receptor. These receptors are basically where retinoids come and attach, or retinol in its pure form comes and attaches, and it changes the very gene expression. It does a lot of things in the skin, including synthesis of more collagen. Because of this effect, it can increase the thickness of your dermis, get rid of lines and wrinkles, smooth out the skin, temporarily decrease pigmentation, and remodel the skin so that very strong issues like melasma can be removed from the root. But retinol or retinoids cause severe reactions because they're toxins, they're like hormones. They will make your skin peel, it can make your skin thin, and it can cause redness, inflammation. Now, the moment you have redness and inflammation, this is where your skin type comes in play. If you have pigment-prone skin, which means you get tan very easily, you already have pigmentation like dark spots, melasma, diffuse hyperpigmentation, uneven skin tone with certain areas which are darker than the others. And if you have pigment-prone skin, any kind of inflammation that is caused in your skin is going to increase pigmentation, which means you will get post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which is the most common form of pigmentation. 80% of the Indian population that has pigmentation has post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, also called PIH. So if you're somebody like that, you want to be super careful with the use of retinoids. Now, there are different kinds of retinoids. There are safer retinoids and there are unsafe retinoids, especially when used in uncontrolled settings. So if they're so unsafe for the skin, then why is it that brands use retinol or retinoids so much these days? There are so many brands, so many products that have retinoids in them. It's because it's this molecule that, because of its hormone-like effects and because of its very strong effects, it's actually one of those gold standard molecules that has displayed a very promising path to achieving your skincare goals, especially if it's anti-aging. And there's nothing else that comes so close to the effect that it can generate while also being very safe. And that is why brands and professionals and dermatologists continue to use it, because it can help you get where you want to go, but they just have to bear, or you just have to sort of manage the side effects in some way or the other. And most people just cannot manage the side effects, and which is why it causes more issues than it can actually solve, unless your dermatologist is doing what they know is best for your skin and they can customize something for you, which is why I always recommend using retinoids under dermatological supervision. So why do brands use it? Well, it can do a couple of things. Number one, it increases cell turnover. Our epidermis is sitting on top of the dermis. This epidermis is where your skin color is. This epidermis is your face to the world. When you see my skin, you're actually seeing the epidermis. The epidermis has about 30 layers, starting from the base till the top. When you use retinoids, retinoids can increase the turnover, which means every day a new cell is formed at the base and then travels upwards until 30 layers are created. And after 30 days, the entire skin has been replaced with new skin, layer by layer. But when you use retinoids, this turnover increases. So instead of 30 days, your skin now gets turnover in about 23, 22 days, depending on how much retinol or how much retinoids you're using. Because most of the melanin, which is the natural skin color that we have, even in pigmentation, most of this dark pigment is actually deposited in the dead layer right on the top. Retinoids, with the accelerated turnover, can actually peel off this dead layer from the top, giving you a brighter appearance underneath. It's like peeling an onion. You have an onion which has a dry, dead layer on top. Anything which is dry and dead is going to appear darker in color. If you peel it off, you get a brighter, vivid, lighter onion underneath. But if you just leave it alone, then that dead layer is going to form again and you're going to go back to square one. So just increasing epidermal turnover and peeling off the top layer of the skin, whether it's through retinoids or whether it's through chemical peeling at a clinic or whether it's through hydroxy acids, is not going to give you permanent reduction in pigmentation. The second thing that it does is it changes the way the melanocyte cell, which is a cell that produces pigment, works. The melanocyte cell has tentacles that help deposit pigment in the skin. It can alter these tentacles, also called dendrites, in a way that melanosome transfer, which is the transfer of melanin from the melanocyte cell to the skin, gets reduced. So you're going to see a lightening effect on the skin. Because it increases cell turnover and your skin becomes thinner, there's more transepidermal water loss. So your skin is going to get drier after using retinol because the skin is literally losing water. So through this epidermal turnover, through the reduction in melanosome transfer, you're going to find that your skin has become lighter. But the side effect is that your epidermis is going to become thinner, which means that more UV rays are going to penetrate. And the moment UV rays penetrate in excess, you are going to get more pigmentation afterwards. And the inflammation itself is going to trigger the melanocyte to create more pigment. I don't know if you know this or not, but the melanocyte cell's single job in the skin is to detect whether or not the skin surrounding it is getting damaged and it itself is getting damaged or not. The way it gets damaged is through UV radiation. UV radiation creates reactive oxygen species in the skin, and these reactive oxygen species are basically oxygen molecules that are reactive in nature, and they can damage cells, they can break protein structures and kill cells. The moment that happens, the cells release various signals within the cell that tells the melanocyte to create more pigment so that this UV radiation can be stopped through the natural sunscreen called melanin, which is what the melanocyte produces. So the other thing that retinoids do is that they actually change the genes in the dermis and they remodel the dermis, make it thicker, and they allow the cells, the fibroblasts in your dermis to create more collagen, which is why you can get rid of lines and wrinkles with this. But like I said, again, guys, if you have pigment-prone skin, you peel the skin off, it's going to get damaged more. Bacteria, viruses, various environmental stressors, pollution will also enter your skin more. Second, your skin is going to dry out, so the very structure of your skin is going to change. It will not form correctly. The third thing is it directly stimulates inflammation, which is going to cause more pigmentation. And if you can still bear through all of these side effects, maybe over time, your dermis is going to get remodeled in such a way that a very specific problem called melasma, which is basically pigmentation that happens on the cheeks, on the nose bridge, on the forehead, or in the lip area, that can reduce because in melasma, the melanocyte cell behaves very differently, but the dermis is involved. So if you can remodel and change the shape of the dermis, you can probably reprogram the melanocyte cell to go back to a normal state. But most people don't end up reaching there because one, the tolerability of retinoids are so low, it's so poor, that you cannot withstand retinoid use for too long. You shouldn't use it for too long. And even if you do, you're going to get post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And you still have a tendency, because you have pigment-prone skin, to get melasma back. So even if you use retinoids, the chance of getting melasma and chance of getting pigmentation back is always going to be there. So my recommendation is avoid retinoids as much as possible. But if you do use retinoids, then do it under a dermatological supervision, so that it's controlled and your dermatologist can actually manage these side effects, okay? But even then, my recommendation is to use very low levels of direct retinoids, okay? So the next question you're going to ask me, hey, Karan, you know what? I understand all these issues, but I really, really want my collagen to be thicker. I want my lines and wrinkles to go away. And my dermatologist has told me that retinoids, or, brands have told me that retinoids are important for you. So I'm going to list a series of retinoids that you probably would have heard. And if you look at that product, the packaging, you'll probably want to find these ingredients. And I'm going to tell you which retinoids are safer than the others, and which ones you should avoid, and which ones you should go to a dermatologist to seek information on before you start using it, especially under your dermatologist supervision. So there are different kinds of retinoids. Okay, there are retinol esters. These are the safer category of retinols or retinoids. These are retinal palmitate, retinal acetate, retinal propionate, retinal linoleate and retinal stearate. These molecules are large in size. They find it difficult to penetrate, so they penetrate slowly so they don't overload your skin very quickly. Second, they have to go through many enzymatic processes to actually convert into something called retinal, which is also called retinaldehyde, which is the active form of retinol that your skin can actually use. So brands often reduce these side effects by using retinol esters, which have to go through multiple steps to convert. So even at high concentrations, by the time they convert it to retinal, that concentration is so small that even though it's more than what your body naturally would want, it's not high enough to create very strong side effects. So if you want to use retinol or retinoids, try and find these retinol esters that I've listed. This is the list just for convenience. Okay, go through these. You want to try and find these. The other more strong forms of retinoids are retinol, retinaldehyde, or trans-retinoic acid, also called Tretinoin, and there's one called 9-cis-retinoic acid. Now, you will find brands using retinol because retinol still has to convert into retinal to be a functional retinoid or functional vitamin A that can affect your skin. But brands are going to be very careful. They're going to use 0.1%, 0.2% max if it's a over-the-counter product, which means you can just buy it from your chemist or buy it online. Because the moment you go above this concentration, it's going to become dangerous and you're going to get side effects. And then you're going to give that product, instead of 5 stars, you're going to give it 1 star. So brands are very careful. They don't want to use too much retinol. But if you go to a dermatologist might prescribe to you 1% retinol or more, depending on what your skin needs, provided you are under their guidance. So try and avoid ingredients like retinal and tretinoin. Tretinoin you cannot even get in over-the-counter products. It's actually a drug, so you have to get it through a doctor's prescription from a chemist. But if you want to use these more direct retinoids, then you can go for retinol, but at super low concentrations. All right. And now I'm going to get to synthetic or derived retinoids. There are a bunch of these that includes hydroxypinoclone retinoate, HPR, which is also called gram-active retinoid. Now, gram-active retinoid is slightly different from other retinoids, where retinol, retinal, and isotretinoin or tretinoin can actually directly activate the RAR or directly activate cells in order to do whatever you want retinoids to do. But they have side effects. HPR or gram-active retinoid can directly activate it without going through these enzymatic processes. And the company has said that, the supplier that makes gram-active retinoid says that it's much safer to use and it can help with collagen synthesis, reduction of lines and wrinkles, reduction of pigmentation. But the data is very limited. First of all, it's a very large molecule, so it cannot penetrate very easily into your skin. But even if it does, it doesn't activate the cells as effectively as these more direct retinoids called retinol, retinal, or isotretinoin or tretinoid. It cannot directly activate the cells very easily. And so it doesn't have that much of an efficacy. And also the data is missing, so we can't, as scientists, make an educated assessment of this molecule. But yes, brands are using it. You'll have to try it. You'll have to see if it works or not. But most likely the results are not going to be as promising as using some of these retinal esters or some of these other retinoids that I already mentioned. Then there are a bunch of others, and these are ones that you want to ask your dermatologist before you use them. Adapalene, Tazarotene, Trifarotene, Bexarotene, etretinate, acetretin, fenretinide, and then there's this new molecule called Celtinoid G. Celtinoid G has been produced by a very major skincare company to kind of behave like retinoids, but it doesn't activate everything. It activates a very specific receptor. And this is still under development, so you probably will not see it out there. But this is a promising ingredient. If it comes out, I'm going to talk about it in more detail. But all of these that I've just listed, these are the ones you want to actually go to your dermatologist and ask them before using them. Some dermatologists are going to give this to you for acne. Some are going to give this to you for pigmentation or something else. But again, retinoid is not good for pigmentation. It cannot reduce pigmentation very effectively. Even if it does that, it's only going to do it temporarily because the cell turnover is increased and you've peeled your skin off, so it's going to appear brighter. But the inflammation and other things are going to create more pigmentation, very likely in your skin. So you want to avoid it if you have pigment-prone skin. Another reason why retinoids are used, I've already explained to you, is because of acne. When you have acne, usually your pores are clogged and your skin function is not proper, which means your skin structure is not behaving the way it's supposed to behave. And so your pores get clogged and you get acne breakouts. Dermatologists can prescribe you retinoids in order to increase the cell turnover so that peeling can happen and your acne can become free and your skin structure can normalize so that you don't have acne anymore. Have you ever seen that if you had, say, PCOS or other hormonal conditions or maybe acne in general, and your doctor prescribed retinoids or a vitamin A to actually ingest, your skin became very dry, but your acne actually reduced? That's again because of this effect. It's because the cell turnover has gone up, your skin has become drier, and so these acne and the active acne are going to reduce on your skin. That's a temporary hack. You have to still find out why you're getting acne, and you need to resolve that at the root cause. So if you've got PCOS or something similar, you want to actually address that hormonal irregularity in your body in order to permanently or for the long term reduce acne. And then you need to find out whether you're using too many products on your face. Is it because you have cystic acne? What kind of acne do you have? What is the root cause why you're having acne? And you need to address that. You cannot just keep using retinol over and over again, especially not when you're pregnant, because it is a teratogen. Teratogen is a fetal toxin, so it can create problems with pregnancy and fetal development. So you definitely want to avoid that during that time. I am going to make another video about bio oil. I've seen so many people talk about bio oil as an oil that you use to actually prevent stretch mark formation. And yes, the reason why stretch marks can be prevented is because I already mentioned that it has a retinal ester, and the retinal ester can go into your skin and stimulate cells to produce more collagen. And so as the skin is expanding, it's not going to break because there's more collagen being synthesized in order to meet the need of the stretching skin. So which is why retinal esters can be used in certain products like bio oil to prevent stretch marks. But is it safe for use? You'll have to wait for my next video to understand that. So for now, this is all I'm going to say about retinoids. It's a huge topic. There are so many things and there's so much confusion about retinoids. But in summary, retinoids can cause a lot of damage. You want to be very careful. And if you have pigment-prone skin, please avoid retinoids. And if you still have to use retinoids, then do it under dermatological supervision. I was almost about to finish this video and then I forgot that I actually have to tell you, if you are using retinoids at home, then what are some of the precautions that you should take? Number one, make sure that whatever kind of retinoid you're using, the concentration is very small. Ideally, the packaging should mention the percentage, but even if it's not, so long as these are retinal esters, the ones that I've already mentioned, retinal palmitate, acetate, propionate, linoleate, or stearate, they are safer for use. But while using retinols or retinoids, you want to make sure that your barrier remains intact. So use products like moisturizing cream or hydrators that can actually prevent water loss from happening so your skin doesn't dry out. You can use products with ceramides in them. CeraVe is a brand that you've already heard of. It has a moisturizing cream with ceramides built in that can help protect your skin's natural barrier. So if you're using retinoids, then you want to use a moisturizer that can prevent transepidermal water loss so your skin doesn't dry out and your structure doesn't go for a toss. Because, like I said, retinol is going to break everything in your epidermis. You want to really be very, very careful with that, okay? So use that. So number one, use less concentration. If you're using retinal esters, great. But if you're using retinol or retinal, use very less concentration. Make sure that you're using barrier protective products like moisturizers or hydrators or simple serums. Even if it's got hyaluronic acid, I made a video about why hyaluronic acid doesn't work, why it's a marketing lie. But even if you're using that with an occlusive agent like an oil on top, that can also prevent dryness. You want to be careful with that. And never go out in the sun when you have retinol. So retinoids on the skin should only be applied at nighttime, not during daytime, because if you apply during daytime, they can actually photodegrade, which means the UV radiation is going to degrade the retinoid and create something completely different, which is going to be bad for your skin, is going to cause even more reactions. So you definitely don't want to do that. And use it sparingly. My recommendation is use it either every alternate day at best, or maybe every 2 days or 3 days. You don't want to use retinoids every day if you don't want these flare-ups, because believe me, You might not know this, but you probably might have pigment-prone skin. And if you use retinoids daily, you might inflame the skin and create all of these issues. So with these, I want you to remain safe when you use retinoids. I'm Ganrati. Now you know better. Hit that like and subscribe button because you want to be updated with the videos that I make about the truth behind skincare, sensible science, not just in skincare, but maybe later on in life. You want to share this video with your friends and family who would be thrilled to know the truth behind retinol and retinoids and how to use them correctly. Any friends or family who are using a lot of retinoids. You also want to comment in the comment section, ask me questions about this or anything else that's in your mind that you want me to address as a skin scientist who knows behind the scenes what happens and why companies do what they do. So with that, I'll see you next time. Bye.